This October 26 Rules Committee meeting to order. Let's see. Candace, you want to give invocation, please?
Ogidoda galilidi he. Son ig galiliga ogikas. Thank you for giving us another day to come and work here for the betterment of our nation and to work for our people. Please help us as we move forward to work together in peace and harmony. Amen.
All right, thank you. Shelley, will you do roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Johnny Kidwell. Here. Sasha Black Fox Qualls. Here. Danny Callison. Here. Julia Coates. Here. Joe Deere. Mike Dobbins. Here. Kevin Easley. Here. Lisa Hall. Here. Daryl Legg. Here. Dora Petzkowski. Here. Cody Poindexter. Joshua Sam. Here. Melvina Shotpouch. E.O. Smith. Here. Condesa Teehee.
Ani.
Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right, if everybody has had a chance to look at the minutes, could I have a motion, please?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, going to reports. First up from the Marshal Service, Shannon Buell.
Good afternoon. First, let me apologize. Usually I'm wearing a suit, but I've been out in the woods today, and I'm going to go back out in the woods. Besides what's in the report, we've had a pretty active month. Last week, we had a suspect in a double homicide and aggravated assault and battery with a firearm on a third victim here in Tahlequah. We dealt with that. We happen to be on a parts of an individual that's in a well right now in another area of our area. So that's why I'm dressed in jeans and hiking boots, because I'm going to go back out and probably get chiggers. But other than that, if you have any questions for what's going on at the Marshal Service or any of my other things, feel free to ask.
Does anybody have any questions for Marshal Buell? Marshal, you going to be around? You're leaving here in just a minute?
As soon as I'm done here, I'm headed to Adair County.
Give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Councilman, would you take over for me while I talk to Marshal Buell? All right, thank you, sir.
All right. Next up, Office of the Attorney General, General Harshaw. Thank you for being here today.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, a couple of items to update, but first wanted to share some exciting news, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. But my predecessor, Sarah Hill, has been nominated by the Biden administration to serve as a federal district court judge for the Northern District of Oklahoma. It's exciting news. I know I have the opportunity to follow up on the body of work that she's created, and I see it every day. And she's truly done a lot of remarkable work, both with the Cherokee Nation and Indian Country, and proud to see her take that step and to be nominated. Of course, there's some confirmation hearings that we anticipate will be coming along soon, but proud to see Indian Country get that representation, and particularly Sarah Hill with the work that she's done. A couple updates I wanted to provide. You may have also seen in the news yesterday the Oklahoma Senate Committee, a joint committee on state and tribal relations, voted down 2 pending gaming compacts with the Kialiji Tribal Town and the United Kituah Band. These 2 compacts are kind of remnants of the some maneuvering that was going on the larger gaming dispute some years ago. Oklahoma Supreme Court has previously ruled that those compacts were invalid because they didn't comply with Oklahoma law required for compacts such as those to be approved. We're engaged in litigation in the D.C. courts with respect to the Department of Interior's actions taken on those compacts, and so we're not surprised to see that those compacts were not approved by the Joint Committee, but that did occur yesterday, and those compacts are no longer relevant in that conversation. A couple other items I'd like to provide an update on, and that is pending litigation that I mentioned last month, which is the or Governor Stitt versus Greg Treat litigation. That speaks also to the veto overrides that occurred recently with respect to compact extensions on motor vehicle and tobacco. There was a parallel case filed by the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs that complemented that litigation, and since we met last month, the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs litigation has been dismissed, and so the only remaining case on that topic is the Stitt v. Treat litigation, and the court set a hearing for that in early January. So hopefully there'll be a resolution of that shortly after the new year. The other case I have to highlight is the SJW case. I mentioned last month that it's an Indian Child Welfare Act case that was recently decided by the Oklahoma Supreme Court. And it's a case that we don't think was decided correctly, and it speaks to concurrent, so to speak, jurisdiction of the state of Oklahoma with Native American tribes, and it has to do with an agreement that we executed some years ago over Indian child welfare jurisdictions shortly after McGirt. We're evaluating our legal options on what a litigation piece would look like in response to that, and continue to evaluate that, and hopefully something we'll have into focus soon. But that's the bulk of the updates I have, unless there's any specific questions.
Does anybody have any questions for our Attorney General? All right. Oh, EO.
On that last case you was talking about, how long before that would be brought back up?
Which case are you?
The last one you were on the child.
SJW, well, it was a case where the Cherokee Nation was not a party, but we intervene in those cases from time to time based on certain circumstances. The case made its way all the way up through appeal. The Supreme Court rendered a decision that we don't think is consistent with past practice in the law. And so right now we're evaluating what our next step as a tribal government would be in response to that case.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, sir. Next up, Gwen Terrapin. How are you, Gwen?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good.
You guys should have a copy of my report, but since I did that and updated the website, we've had 4 new requests. So we have 32 FOIA requests at this time, no GRAs, and 4 of those are outstanding.
Does anybody have any questions for Gwen? Would you go ahead and get an update of the 4 to Gail, and she can
Sure.
distribute to us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. From the Election Commission, Marcus Fears. How are you, Marcus?
I'm doing well. You guys have my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Marcus? All right. Got off it. Oh, need one? All right. Councilman Kidwell.
Hi, Marcus. Thanks for being in here today. I was just wondering about your, the Election Commission's after action, like, from the most recent election cycle, and if you're going to have a report or anything that you're going to share with the council.
Typically, anything that we have to report, we just put in this report. So no, if there's anything that you want to know specifically, I'd be happy to get that out for you.
No, nothing specific right now.
Okay.
I think as we go forward, we'll have, we want to go over lessons learned and how we can make things better, that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff. But I'm sure we'll be, getting back and forth with each other. We're just, timing is a thing. We want to make sure we get all to it. But I appreciate you.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Candace.
Good afternoon. Always a pleasure to see a representative from the Election Commission. When was the last time redistricting occurred?
It was before I was here. I believe it was around 2013.
Okay, so we're pretty close to being due for redistricting. Would that be correct?
I would say that's accurate.
Okay, all right, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the time, Chair.
Anybody else? And just to follow up on the redistricting, we addressed that before. We actually said that we are going to redistrict, but in the midst of all that, we've had some changes in admin in different places. So where we were supposed to get our maps, they have changed. So I know who to get a hold of to see where we're at on that. So that's generally what we were waiting for. So I can do that too. I can get you a better answer. All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, from the Tax Commission, Sharon Swepston.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I believe you have my report. Just a couple of points in motor vehicle, we're still just hovering right out there as even. We're 1.63, a little below where we were last year through August. But on the revenue and taxation side, we're up 11.69%. Things seem to be going pretty smooth. We've got several new staff hired and getting those trained, so hopefully that'll all pull together and we'll get it back up there, so.
Does anybody have any questions for Sharon? All right, thank you, Sharon.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, wait. We got that delay, Julia, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Julia.
Yeah, hi, Sharon, I contacted you a while ago about the disability tags. I wondered if you had been able to find out anything more
I've got
on that.
I do have some information on it, and Teresa's still working on it for me, but I will get you a response back probably by tomorrow.
Okay, I appreciate it, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Sharon. All right, next up, self-governance, Shauna Miles. Hey, Shauna, how are you?
I'm well, thank you so much. Good afternoon, council. I believe that you have my report, and if you have any questions, I definitely welcome those as well.
Does anybody have any questions for us, Shauna? All right, thank you, good report.
Okay, thank you so much.
Next up from the Gaming Commission, Janice Purcell.
Good afternoon. There should be one change on my report, and that was our meeting on the 20th was postponed due to lack of a quorum. So it will be tomorrow, October 27th, at Catoosa Hard Rock in Salon C, and we welcome all of you to come and see what we do at Gaming Commission. I also want to give a shout out to the Human Resources Department. They do like an open call for people that want jobs, need jobs, and they have sent a couple down to Gaming Commission because Roland Sallisaw is a difficult area to fill, and so we did fill our licensing position, and it was based on an open call in Sallisaw. So I just want to say thank you to Samantha.
Does anybody have any questions for Janice? All right, Janice, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up from Human Resources, Samantha Hendricks. Hey, Samantha.
Hello, good afternoon, guys. Of course, I'm going to talk about open interviews because that's what we're doing. It's working. So we're hiring as many as we can. Something we did a little bit of a caveat from this last time, the last couple of weeks, is we really pushed on welcoming in our program participants to be a part of that interview fair. Not only that, we've helped them with their application. Instead of doing a 2 to 4, we've opened it up from 12 to 4 because we've noticed that a lot of those don't have employment applications in. So we want to help them, give them that personal touch to try to help them put those applications into the system. And then our second half is where we do the interviews and try to get them into the hiring managers to interview for those positions. I think on an average, we've seen over the last 2 weeks, which is on Wednesdays that we do that between 12 and 4, we've seen about 125, a little over 125 program participants that we've looked at and helped with applications and things of that nature to help them with employment. So we're really trying to close that gap and bridge that gap with career services to work as a pipeline to try to help fill our positions. Not just those, but we have other positions too, but those are the ones we've been concentrating on. So we're going to continue this schedule that we currently have, which is I can give this to Gail, and she can send it out. But we're going to continue this all the way till January, and of course we'll reassess. And if we need to continue it on, we certainly will. So that's my big news because that's pretty exciting to have that many people come through in a short period of time. So career services have been great to work with. They've been fantastic to partner with on this. So. Other than that, I'll do my standard. You have my report. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Does anybody have any questions for Samantha? All right, good report. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That brings us to old business, none pending. Under new business, Dora, would you take number 1, please?
This is a resolution appointing Lyndon Emberton to the Citizen Committee on Compensation. I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? EO?
I'll be added as a sponsor.
Yes, sir.
Me too.
Darrell also? Joe? Johnny? All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 2, Councilman Callison, would you take that, please?
Resolution appointing Susan D. Gilstrap to the Citizen Committee on Compensation. I put this in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Joe? Johnny?
Speaker Aspett, I be added as a sponsor.
And Kevin? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 3, EO, would you take that, please?
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation to become a member of the National Congress of American Indians and to appoint a tribal delegate and alternates. I put this in form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. Number 4, Councilman Easley, would you take that, please?
Yes, sir. This is an act implementing the Court on the Judiciary as mandated under Article 8, Section 5 of the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation. It's for discussion only. Put this in the form of a motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I know. I'm fixing to turn it over to Kidwell. All right, Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the reasons for putting this on for discussion only is just so we don't all get caught off guard later on as it circulates around. And it's, obviously, we're not, voting on this now, but the Supreme, or the Constitution requires that we have a court of the judiciary. It had been, this legislation had been worked on in the past, but it had never been fulfilled or placed into legislation by the council for one reason or another. And whatever, many years out on it. And it's just, we're just going to need to hopefully put this thing into act. And we're going to have to work with a lot of people. We've got to bring the AG's office in, administration in, the Cherokee Nation Bar Association, I believe, come in. So a lot of work has to be done really to get this thing going. And a lot of eyes have to be put on it. But predominantly what we're doing here is so that so things don't get worked back channel and we only get to see things for 10 days before we have to vote on them. This is a process of putting out there for us all to look at now so that we can read up on it, you can provide input as we move forward so that we're not all surprised by anything whenever it comes down the pike. And hopefully we can do that with a few other pieces of legislation as well. Just mainly so we don't get surprised and we can work together with the offices that we need to work with to try to get this thing going. So with that being said, if you've had a chance to read it, great. If you have any questions about it, that's great too. John Young is here. He can probably answer a few of them. If you want to hold your questions until we move forward some other time and keep pushing this around. But really the plan is now to work with other stakeholders of this legislation who need to really put eyes on it before we even move much further than this. So obviously for discussion only, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, I think it is a good tool, and I think what's important is, I hear the word due diligence a lot about council doing due diligence, but whenever we can something comes up and we need to contact those departments who are involved, and we need to know what they think about it too. I mean, the more information that we get, the better informed decisions that we make. So I think it's a good thing. All right. Anybody else? All right, do we have any announcements? I know that, I think Melvina is in the city for the 55 over, or the, what's that award? 55 over 50, or 50 over 55 or something, I don't remember, but she's getting some type of award today in Oklahoma City. I have it on my phone, but I want to say congratulations to her. Okay. Our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, November 6th at 4 PM. One more motion. Motion to adjourn and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.